So we've got our interview sound bites in the basic order that we want, but because these are real people who are expressing their own thoughts and ideas, not everything is presented in the most concise of manners. There are some pauses and ums and ahs and rephrases of questions that can be cleaned up, which is what we're going to do here. We're going to examine how to remove material using lifts, extractions, and basic trims. All right, so before we actually dig into the individual sound bites and start removing very specific parts of what they say, I do want to just first briefly cover removing entire shots. If I want to get rid of these shots here, for example, and I just wanted to lift them out of the timeline and leave everything else alone, then I just select them and then press the delete key on the keyboard. All right, easy enough. Let me undo that, Command or Control Z. Now, if I want to close the gap, so I want to ripple all of the downstream clips back to fill in the part that I remove, then I'm going to Option Delete or Alt Backspace on a PC. All right, you can see the clips are gone, and then everything downstream rippled in to fill in that gap. I'm going to undo that, Command Z, okay, because we actually do want those clips. And now we're going to talk about digging a little bit deeper because we want to remove specific moments within these interview sound bites. All right, I'm going to start with this very first one where Jack talks about craftsmanship, quality, and community spirit. I'll go ahead and play the whole thing, and I want to show you exactly what I want to remove.
Craftsmanship, quality, and community spirit is a big part of who we are, and our mission statement reads really those three words, and that underlies everything that we do.
All right, so I want it to be nice and punchy. I want him to say craftsmanship, quality, and community spirit. That underlies everything that we do. So I'm going to show you a few ways to do this. I'm first going to show you a way that technically works, but I think is a little less efficient. And then from then on, we're going to do what I think is the most efficient way. All right, so let's identify the portion of this clip that we want to remove. And I'm going to use the razor tool to cut it up and then delete what I don't want. All right, so I'm going to use JKL to find that moment.
Quality and community spirit.
I think I've got it. And our razor tool over here is keyboard shortcut C. So I'm going to press C. And notice that my razor tool does snap to my playhead, which is nice. And then I'm going to come down here and find the next moment.
Words. And
let's cut that. All right, so I've sectioned off what I don't want. I immediately want to go back to the selection tool V, or else I'm going to be cutting up my entire timeline. So I'll select V. And again, if I just wanted to lift that out, I would press delete. Not what we want to do. Instead, I would press Option Delete or Alt Backspace. All right, and let's take a listen.
Community spirit. That underlies everything that we do.
All right, not bad. Let me undo that though, because I want to show you what I think is a better way. Instead of cut, and then extract, what I want to do is just mark an in and an out point around the area that I want to extract, and then use the extract command in order to do that. All right, so again, let me just find those moments using JKL.
Community spirit. And that
I've marked my in and my out, and now I'm going to perform an extract using this on-screen button here or the apostrophe key. All right, so this is a very common operation. You mark an in, you mark an out, and then you press apostrophe. Okay, so it's easier, it's less steps, and we should be in good shape here on this edit.
Quality and community spirit. That underlies everything that we do.
All right, very good. Let me undo that, and just to show you a lift, I'll mark an in and an out. And then this on-screen button here, or the semicolon key, is lift. It does what you probably would expect. So I'll press semicolon, and then we're left with this gap. However, let me undo one more time because I want to draw your attention to our good old track selectors. When you are extracting material, your track selectors are very important. If I'm lifting material and I don't have both video and audio selected, so let's say I only have audio selected and I turn off video and I perform a lift, I'll press the semicolon. All right, you can see that that chunk of audio was taken out, but the video was left alone. Now, if I only have one or the other selected, so right now I just have my audio selected, and I perform an extract, watch what happens. I'll press apostrophe, And you see that I still had both video and audio extracted. Now that is because I have my sync locks on, okay? So basically it's saying that these are locked together, so whatever happens to one happens to the other, so I don't go out of sync. Let me show you what happens if you don't have sync locks on. So I'll unlock my video and audio from one another, and now I have audio selected but not video. And if I perform that same extract, watch what happens. I'm going to press apostrophe, and now if we look downstream, everything is out of sync by 6 seconds and 13 frames, which happens to be the same exact duration of the portion of the segment that I extracted. So let me undo that, Command Z. If you are working without sync locks, then your track selection is very important. It's very important anyway, but always be aware of your track selection when you're removing material. Okay, so with all those demos, let's go back to extracting this inner portion. So I'm going to press the apostrophe, and we've got our nice punchy soundbite to start things off. So I'm going to go forward, and there's actually quite a lot to remove from many of these shots, but I just want to take a look at a couple more, and then we can move to the post-remove sequence, which, as you can see, has a lot of extractions done in order to make this a lot more concise. But for now, I'm going to come to this marker here, and let's give it a listen and see exactly what we need to do here.
Quality, we source the highest quality ingredients we can. We're not afraid to pay a little bit more for higher quality product or ingredients to put into our product.
I think first and foremost.
So he stumbles just a bit here, so let's clean that up, and we'll do that by setting in and out points and then extracting. All right, so I'm going to use JKL to find the moment where I want to start the extraction.
We source the highest quality ingredients we can. We're not afraid to pay a little bit more for higher quality product or ingredients to put into our ingredients to put into our.
All right, I think we're close, but I think I need to add one more word here.
A little bit more for.
Yeah, I think we need that 4 in order to make this work. And I'll mark an in here. I'll press apostrophe, and I'm going to play over this.
A little bit more for ingredients to put into our product.
All right, so we've technically removed what we needed, but it is a little rough going from this clip to this clip. But that's okay, because we're going to spend all of Chapter 5 talking about trimming, where we can, very delicately let out frames and take in frames and make sure that these edits are smooth. But bottom line, we removed what we needed to, and now we can come back in and refine later. All right, I'm going to press backslash to zoom to fit. And speaking of trimming, I do just want to go over one very basic type of trimming, because it is such an important part of removing material from our sequence, and then we can expand upon it in Chapter 5. All right, I'm going to come to these first few clips here, and I'm pretty sure we have something that we need to remove from the end of this shot here.
The craftsmanship, we have Casey and his team who care meticulously about the beer. He's here anytime the beer needs him. And
So he starts to say "and" right here. I believe this is the portion that we want to remove.
And
yeah, about right there. So if we wanted to, I could set an in, and then I can sort of shift drag in order to snap there, and set an out, and then press apostrophe, and we've extracted it. But most people would get this done with a trim. I'm going to remove my in and out points by pressing Option X or Control Shift X on a PC. And instead, I'm just going to grab the edge of the clip and then drag back. And so now we've removed it. However, by default, we're leaving this gap. All right, so that isn't what we want to do. We'd have to just select the gap and then press delete. And now we've closed it up, and I can play.
And the beer needs him.
So I always tell people.
All right, I'm going to undo that. I'm going to give you just a little preview for what most editors do here instead. And that is to switch over to the Ripple Edit tool. It's this on-screen key here, or the B key, all right? So if you press B, then notice that it turns yellow instead of red. And now when I drag, it's simply going to close the gap automatically. And so things should be good now.
Time the beer needs him.
So I always tell.
Okay, and if we needed to remove a few more frames, which I think we do, we can continue to refine like so. And when we're done trimming, you switch back over to your selection tool V, and you're ready to keep editing. So that's just a little preview of trimming that we'll get into in much more detail in the next chapter. All right, so it's up to you how exactly you go about removing material from your sequence. But as you can see, there are lots of various options to help you get the job done.